Welcome to No Apologies on Beck. I have your host, Lori Hins. With me, I'm very excited to announce I have a guest tonight, as you can see. Trent Loos is with me from how many different entities? I could say Loose Tales or Trent on the Loose or, you know, king of all Loose Tales Media.
Well, I am the king of all Loose Tales Media because I'm the solo at Loose Tales Media. So, Lori, it's easy to be the king when you're the only one.
I just can't get over how many different things you have your fingers into and how you do it all,
I'm trying to
honestly.
find something I can handle. I think being your co-host is my new thing. I can handle this.
Well, you know what? You'd have to be here in Bismarck a little more often then.
This is my third consecutive week in North Dakota. What more do you want?
That is pretty good.
No,
Well,
I lied to you. Next week will be my third consecutive week. I'm going to be back next week.
You are again.
In 3
Well,
days.
you were in Valley City for the winter show.
That was a rumor. I didn't show up.
I totally saw you there. He totally busted in the middle of my segment at a time and totally did a like a.
Oh,
that
I
was
did
great.
do that. Well, I had to tell Brandy the goats were here.
That's what it was. The goats are here. And I'm like, what? That was excellent. I just really enjoyed that too. Let's talk a little bit about you.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I want to talk about where is your hat?
Yeah, I did.
You got the most amazing hat. You looked awesome in this hat.
Thank you.
And now here I am, and you're not.
Well, I didn't wear it today, but I have plans for wearing it. I'm thinking this way. If the national convention in 2024 happens to be in one of the places I think it might be, it will be the perfect hat to wear. And it is a red flat brim hat just like yours. But I didn't want to be matchy-matchy with you. That'd be awkward.
It's red. This is black.
That's true.
They're complementary.
It's a really great hat.
And are you talking about the National Goat Roping Convention?
No, no, I'm talking about the, well, kind of actually, now that I think about it.
I think it is the National Goat Roping Convention.
So I did buy that hat, by the way, from some local vendors in North Dakota, and that was the big selling point for me.
That's a cool hat.
It is a cool hat. And so I love it. So you'll probably get to see it on TV eventually.
Your mother's going to love it, too.
Yeah.
She will. I mean, I'm just telling you, she will.
I think you're exactly right about that. So I wrote down a bunch of notes about you.
I know, and I'm going to work really hard at keeping you talking about anything you sent me that was going to be like a script. We're going to be completely impromptu.
No, it's not going to be a script.
Up.
Trust me, these questions are not going to be a script. I was
What do you think about the warmer weather, Lori?
I'm really happy about the warmer weather. I'm wearing a little lighter color in honor of that. This is springtime clothes.
This is springtime clothes.
Mm-hmm. Is that springtime?
Am I springtime?
You call that a rag?
It's a rag. Don't call it a scarf. It's a rag.
Well, it's definitely not a scarf, but
like a wild rag. Do you know that there is 101 uses for a rag? And this is why the vaqueros driving 6 million head of cattle from Texas to Abilene, Kansas, wore a wild rag because there was 101.
That's what they called it, a wild rag?
Absolutely.
Well, I've just seen it from like television shows and things, and it makes perfect sense because you got to put it up over your face because when you're driving cattle, there's dust everywhere. Right?
Yeah, or you
so
go
you
into
breathe.
a communist gas station or university or hospital.
There's that too.
Just want to throw it. I mean, seriously, you think about all the times you watch some Western and the bank robber comes in with this red
100%.
Rag over his nose, right?
Right.
And in the first May of 2020, I went on a little pig delivery voyage. We were out of goats, so I had to deliver pigs. So I went on this little pig delivering voyage to 15 states. Went to Pennsylvania, went down to Florida, came back through Alabama, delivered some pigs in Louisville, Kentucky, then came home.
Wow.
And in Pennsylvania, now keep in mind, May 2020, things were really like,
very tense, very freaked out. Yeah.
I walk in this gas station in Pennsylvania, and this guy just like,
why do I see your face?
you got to get a mask on.
Right.
I said, I don't have no mask. He said, you got to wear something. I took my rag and I put it up around and I walk in there like a bank robber and he goes, oh, I feel better.
It's so dumb.
That's weird.
It's weird. It's so dumb.
It is dumb.
I was never a really big mask wearer either. I don't do well with that kind of constraint.
It proves that you're a conformist, and it's dangerous.
It is dangerous. I never really did very well with it either, just simply because I can't breathe well, and I also like to read lips. I have a little
Oh,
bit
you
of,
struggle with my lips, don't you?
I do, and so it's hard. But I like to read lips sometimes just to augment my hearing, and so.
I wondered why you were always kind of leaning down when I'm talking. You're trying to
Just
get a better
so I
angle?
can figure out what it is you're actually saying. So, no, I just think there's so many things wrong with masks that I've never been a big fan of them. And I can tell that you are a freedom facer, too.
Oh, there was a great sign on a PMA in California. I walked in this summer, and it was something about a mask, and I wish I wouldn't have started the story because it's not going to come to me, but I thought, if I start talking about it, it'll just come right here.
Oh, sorry.
See your script. You don't need your script because
No,
we're not
I don't
following.
have a script.
You have a script.
I have questions for you. I want to know what your regular day is like. If you're starting with you've got podcasts, you've got radio shows. What time of the day do you start?
5:35.
5:35, like exactly.
5:35, my alarm goes off every morning.
So what's the first all media thing that you have to do?
Turn the coffee on.
That's
I boil my coffee on the stove.
boil it on the stove?
I don't know what you said, but I like the way you said it.
Okay, so 5:35.
Have you never boiled coffee on the stove?
I haven't ever.
Oh my goodness, Lori.
Sorry.
So it's like an old-fashioned pot with the little steeping thing on
got it.
top.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
You put coffee in there.
Do you
and
put an
then
egg in it? Back in the olden days.
I do not because I actually have the little container on the top.
Got
If you
it.
just put the coffee in, actually I like it that way, but my girls drink coffee out of it too, and they don't like.
That back in the olden days when I was a young pup and my dad, the pastor, was having, the meetings and the ladies' they would make it with the egg in it, and it
Right.
always made it like fantastically good. The smell was phenomenal. Because I was just a little kid, I wasn't drinking coffee then.
But you know what the egg does?
What does the egg do?
It accumulates the grounds. And then you just take the egg out, and the grounds are all tied to it.
So that's the purpose of it? I just thought it
But
smelled.
I figure that's a good waste of an egg.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah, I said that wrong. It's a waste of a good egg.
Right.
Why waste a good egg?
Yeah, you could just be eating
So
the egg.
I just put the coffee in the top part and then turn it on and boil it and let it perk for a while, and that's just the best way coffee is.
So do you have to do any radio early in the morning, or is that a
At
podcast?
6:30 every morning I go live with my buddy from the United Kingdom, Andrew Henderson, every morning.
So you decided you were going to go global.
I did.
I know. So what on earth makes you go, all right, I've pretty much conquered the United States, so I'm just going to go to the UK now.
Oh, Lori, stop. No, I wanted to bring the United States and the United Kingdom together and make sure that everybody understood that we need to address these issues together.
Brilliant.
And I regularly pull somebody from Australia in. I don't pull someone from Japan, but I have friends in Japan because I've spoken 4 continents.
Wow. That's amazing.
So what I do then is I develop friends. I'm really good at collecting friends.
I can see that about you.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing to do, to collect friends.
It is.
I like to collect friends, too.
And I have friends in Argentina. I have friends in Brazil. We don't communicate as much because, Portuguese or
Right.
Spanish.
That's got to be a little difficult.
Right.
So how exactly do you, when you do have to communicate, do you have a translator, or?
I've actually spoken in several meetings where they had one meeting in Lexington, Kentucky. When I spoke, there were 17 translators in the room.
Wow.
Translating my lingo into 17 other languages. And this beautiful lady from Brazil, Patricia, she came up to me afterwards. She said, I've been translating for 25 years, and you're the toughest person they ever translated for because you use words that we shouldn't be using.
That does not at all surprise me, Trent.
They weren't cuss words. They're just like, ranch words.
Right, and different vernacular.
Exactly.
So we're going to come back after this little
We're
break.
not leaving?
Yeah, we
No.
are. We're going to leave for a couple of seconds. I promise we'll be back.
Seriously?
3 minutes, Trent. 3 minutes. Remain calm. Welcome back to No Apologies. You are watching a vicarious conversation between Trent Loos.
Vicarious?
They're vicariously watching. They're watching the conversation and enjoying the conversation
Wait a minute.
vicariously.
There are people watching us?
Yes, yes.
Are you kidding me?
I know, it's really kind of cool.
This is not radio?
No, and you know me, I did radio for 42 years, so
You have such a great radio voice.
I thought the same thing about you. I mean, I remember you when you were on Trent Loos or Loose Tales for years
still
and
on
years.
Loose Tales.
Well, that's what I'm
You
saying.
made it sound like it's old news
How many
history.
years?
22.
There you have it.
Okay, so now
2
back to you.
decades.
This desk was made for you to sit behind.
It's kind of great, isn't it? It's the Bourbon Bureau. It used to be my co-host desk, and he decided to bigger and better things, and so he kind of left me alone here. But you know what? There's bourbon in the drawer if you want it, so we're totally stocked, and we're good to go.
Yeah, well, he didn't hold a candle behind that desk. You are made for that desk. I mean, this is just like a perfect match. You're the perfect host. Becker who?
Okay, I'm gonna throw something out that's gonna trigger you. And I told you a little bit about it.
What do you want to be when you grow up, Lori?
I want to be a television person, and I'm doing it. It's really great.
You are doing it.
I actually wanted
I'm just proud to be here to do it with you.
Well, and I wanted to be a radio announcer when I was 16, and I did that for 42 years. So now I've told my age, and it doesn't bother me at all because I love being.
Well, you should. You should celebrate what you've accomplished and how you look and everything. I'm 55. I'll be 56 this year.
I'm older than you.
No, you are not.
Yes,
Quit trying to be braggadocious.
They just did the math. Everybody was watching. They're like, oh, she's yeah. So 30 by 30. And I know you've been around Bismarck. I know you've been around North Dakota. I know you've gone around the state and talked about 30 by 30.
And next week.
You're doing it again?
Botano on Tuesday night, Wednesday night in Harvey.
Yep.
Oh, I love Harvey.
I do too. There's great people there.
And Stanley Thursday night. And I didn't mean that I don't love Botano and Stanley, but I'm in Harvey every year. I love Harvey. But we're going to have 3 meetings. Farm Bureau and I are partnering once again to talk about Executive Order 14004, Executive Order 18004, which was signed on January 27th, 2021, talking about taking 30% of land and water
So dumb.
to government control by 2030.
It's insane. I read this article, and it was from High Country News, and it was June 23rd, 2021, and it talked about a week after Joe Biden became president, he signed that executive order that announced the commitment to 30% of U.S. land and water over 720 million acres by 2030. On May 6, 2021, the Department of Interior published Conserving and Restoring America the Beautiful, a preliminary report about what's become known, of course, as what you said, the 30 by 30 plan. So many flaws in this article, but this is my favorite part. It said, quote, in order to tackle 3 challenges, the disappearance of nature, climate change, and this is my favorite, inequitable access to the outdoors, the report laid out a locally led, I knew you would laugh, science-based and collaborative roadmap toward achieving 30. But what the heck are they talking about? What the what?
Could you do that little emotion again when you read that last one? That was really good.
I'm like, what exactly is inequitable access to the outdoor? What are they talking about?
They have no idea what they're talking about. Here's the truth of the matter that nobody wants to talk about. 33% of the United States landmass is currently owned by federal or state governments. If they want to take 30% of the U.S. landmass and put it in some climate change mitigation, take the land that they already own.
Right.
No, they're not doing that. They want to take the land that I own, that you own, that everybody else in this country owns, that takes care of it and manages it properly and produces something that enables human life, and put that into a conservation program so that they can bury carbon. You know, I'm here today for the Northwest Landowners Association, and it's not part of 30 by 30, but it's tied to the overall agenda, which is to control the landmass so that we can create starvation. They are taking 3 trillion tons of carbon dioxide and burying it a mile deep in North Dakota. North Dakota's not doing that. That's a federal government plan that comes from the United Nations. By the way, the United Nations is also the entity that came up with the plan to do the 30 by 30 globally, not just in the United States.
Right, I read that.
But I want to come back to this carbon dioxide thing. Carbon dioxide is plant food. And when you bury 3 trillion tons of plant food, you're going to have fewer plants. And without plants, Earth ceased to exist.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Why, you know, I've never really understood the whole climate change thing anyway, but why does it continue to proliferate when it's just so counterintuitive and so false? I'm amazed that it continues to be pushed forward because to me, it makes no sense whatsoever. The whole CRT, critical race theory stuff, some of these things don't make any sense to me, but climate change really makes no sense to me at all because you're pushing a false narrative. How many times have they said 10 more years, 8 more years, we've only got 7 more years, and you're like, shut up.
Right.
Stop.
Are you familiar with Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates?
Yes.
Because they both have said that we need to get the planet to less than 2 billion people by 2030. So you can couch this however you want. It's a reduction in the available foodstuffs. We're bombing in the Klamath River. Right now, bombing's not the right word. Destroying is the right word. They want to destroy at a cost of $450 million, 4 dams that are part of an irrigation system to feed the farmers, to produce food, to feed the world.
They just want people to die. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I am. And Lori, those dams produce electricity. So while we're running headfirst into producing more cars that run off electricity, we're destroying the infrastructure to produce electricity. You do the math.
Yeah. It's kind of disturbing, though, that depopulation is even a thing.
It is.
It's
because we've actually Scott sent me some stuff, Scott Klein, that I've got to research, but I know it's happening. There was research at Kansas State that documented, they created a pod and a greenhouse effect. They increased CO2 to prove that the increased CO2 in the atmosphere, which since 1940, the Earth's atmosphere has increased in CO2 by 0.002%. 0.002%, okay?
Yeah.
That's almost insignificant.
Right.
But what they proved at Kansas State, and they didn't want to, was that as they increased carbon dioxide, they increased plant growth. So it worked in the opposite. So they shut it down. They don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah,
because
we don't want
actually,
that narrative.
The more animals you have, the more people you have, the more plants you have, it creates a healthy planet. And everything works in sync. And the more people you have, the more CO2 you produce, the more plants that grow. It's a perfect cycle of life. It's almost like God created something that works.
Like it was from God or an intelligent design or something.
Right, except you read in that high country news that God doesn't exist, so it couldn't have been him.
It's just shocking to me. Connecting food producers and consumers is something that you do too. We are so apathetic as consumers. We are so uneducated as consumers. I can see where this would be a love for you.
And we are becoming less that way every day. For 22 years, I've been doing radio and now television, thanks to Beck News, trying to remind people that food production is a means of national security. Finally, Lori, finally, people are saying, oh, wait a minute. It's not a good thing that we have chickens grown in the United States. We fly the chickens processed to China. Further process them in China, and then fly them back here to eat them.
That seems pretty dumb.
That's absolutely asinine. Why do we do that? Because the American worker has been too lazy to show up and be a part of producing what we need in our own country. We've got to produce all of these essentials of life in the United States of America because other than coffee, we have everything we need in the United States.
I think we can do without coffee.
No, we cannot. Don't you ever say that again. You say that again, you're losing that host chair.
Well, thank you for coming. I really do appreciate you in the studio.
Why are you acting like you're wrapping this up? This is not happening. We just got started.
I know, and I'm so sorry. But you know what? I'll have you back because I know you're coming back next week. So if you want to finish
You got somebody better lined up next.
Well, we do have some really good guests coming up next, but not better. Just equally
I'm right here.
fantastic.
You don't have to talk about me. I'm right here.
I'll just talk about you when you're gone, so don't worry about it.
Hey, what I don't know won't hurt me.